Good evening. Hello, my name is Tanae Dolphin, and I'm serving as the director of the Economic Empowerment and Innovation Center. I want to welcome you all here tonight for this amazing, illuminating conversation, just some conversation among friends, among family. We're here tonight because so often we do courses and workshops. And if you're an entrepreneur, I know that you've been to several training sessions. And yet, still, when it's time to apply, mistakes happen, things happen, life get in the way. And so we want to hear what happens to some successful entrepreneurs, how they navigated those challenges and how they overcame it. But then we want to couple that with some experts who will guide us through why it's important to really apply the training that you all receive, even when things get tough. I want to tell you a little bit about the EEIC. For some of you, this is rather new. But let's say about 5 years ago, Kingdom Fellowship AME Church created Kingdom Cares. It's a part of a CDC. And during the pandemic, it grew so large and feeding so many people in the community that we now have a grocery store and a boutique. But when you think about people's needs and the community needs, then you really need to understand financial stability and financial literacy. And so out of some of the things that were already happening, EEIC was birthed, and it is a part of the CDC, part of Kingdom Cares. And we're here with under 3 pillars. We're going to be leaning into financial literacy and growing that track a little bit more, but also creating a space for small business development through cohorts and workshops and networking and more, and conversations like these. And then the third track is workforce development. We know in today's climate, there's a lot happening and a lot changing, and we have to do things differently. And so we want to be here as a part of that solution. I'm also a mother. My child is asking for me right now, even though I hired a babysitter. But with that, what I want to do is pass it over to Reverend Russell St. Bernard to open us up in prayer.
Thank you, Tanae. Super excited to be with you all on this evening. Want to just open up in prayer, knowing that God's presence is in control of all things that we do. Let's pray. God, we thank you now for this time and for this moment. We bless you, God, for the opportunity we have, Lord God, to use our wisdom and our skill and our talent. God, to be able to produce not just for us, God, but also for our community. So now, God, we pray, God, for those who are online, God, for those who are watching this now, for those who will watch it later in playback. We also pray, God, for your presence and for your spirit to be here. But most importantly, Lord God, we pray again, God, for your wisdom and your protection and your provision to also be here. God, we thank you for the opportunity that we have in this moment. And we bless you, Lord God, for the impact that this moment will produce later and the fruit that we will be able to see. It's in the name of your Son, Jesus the Christ, our Lord, that we all said amen and amen. Now I'm going to give it back to
If you've ever seen me on a webinar or Zoom, you know that I will keep it all the way real. So with that, I will not belabor the point, and I want to get right into this conversation because we have a lot to unpack. And so with that, I'm going to introduce our moderator. I'll wait for the slides to catch up. There she is, because she's got a beautiful face. Our moderator for this evening is none other than Samantha Abrams. Samantha is a global entrepreneur, investor, and strategist with over 25 years of experience leading initiatives across the private and nonprofit sector. She is the founder and CEO of Color Lens Consulting, a boutique firm specializing in launching international partnerships and navigating complex public-private landscapes. A successful restaurateur, she owns 2 popular Caribbean restaurants in the DC area and advises early stage startups and major investment projects across Ghana, Rwanda, Guyana, Guatemala, and the Caribbean. Her distinguished career also includes leadership roles at Geico, Halcyon, and the March on Washington Film Festival, along with the national appointments and board service advancing social impact and economic development. I want to tell you that she is also my friend. And so I would like to welcome Samantha Abrams. Thank you.
Hi, friend.
Hello.
Friends, all of you. Greetings to each of you this evening. I'm just so excited to be here with you all. I hope you've had a chance to grab dinner, settle down, settle in, get your friends, and grab your children for this amazing and insightful conversation. I'll use those words as Tanae just did. And the reason why I am inviting you to invite your children is because when I think of my own entrepreneurial journey, I think about how it was started and what spurred it, and the learnings that I received from my own mom from the earliest age of 3. And we are inherently, our DNA is set for this, and it's entrepreneurship just, it runs through our veins. So we need to continue to do everything in our power to get better, and to make those decisions to move. It's a Wednesday evening. You could be doing anything, but you've decided to gather here. And tonight is whether you had an idea that you've been brewing, an idea that you've conceived but waiting to birth. If you're already in business and you're grappling with a decision, how do you move forward? This conversation is really a conversation for us to also remember whose we are, and that we live in a life of abundance, and that we come from abundance, and we are also the Calvary that we've been waiting on. So, with that said, this space is for each of us. As much as I'm moderating, it's also for me. It's a space for you. It's a space for truth telling, learning, growing, and tonight it's no filter, just facts. We're getting real about entrepreneurship, the mistakes that we make, the challenges that we make, the lessons that we learn that come with this entrepreneurial journey. This will be a candid conversation featuring real stories, real people, and real advice to help us grow as we continue to journey through our entrepreneurial endeavors. For you, it's important that we engage with you. We also want to hear from you. So take notes. Join us live on Facebook and YouTube. It's not too late to tell others to join. So if we can drop whatever link that we need to share, I'm not sure if it's live on the page. Please let's do that, because I had some folks saying that they did not get a link even though they showed up. And we'll also be sharing 3 what we call connection questions. And the reason why we call it connection questions is because there is a connective tissue in these questions, and it helps to kind of percolate our thoughts and help us to extract data from the folks who will be here with us. So I will be asking some connection questions, and then I will move into inviting our first speakers to join us. And in those connection questions, you can also you can put your answers into the chat box. And here's our first connection question: what's been the most challenging part of your entrepreneurial journey so far? I have so many of those, y'all. I can write a book. I will write a book. Let's all write a book. But entrepreneurial, the journey is universal. That's the one thing I know for sure. So let's just kick off by hearing from you. Jump right in, and we will go into sharing a little bit more about our speakers. I'm going to read brief bios, and I encourage you to also look up these individuals, find them on LinkedIn, follow them on their socials. All of these will be shared later, but I'm really encouraging each of us to make sure we stay in touch. Our first amazing panelist for this evening is Miss Joy Brown. Joy is a powerhouse founder and CEO of Culture Creators, a trailblazing agency and foundation shaping culture and elevating the next generation of Black leaders and entrepreneurs. A former SVP at Atlantic Records and head of strategic partnerships at ICM Partners, she has brokered landmark brand and artist deals that have redefined the industry. Go Joy. Her signature initiative, the Leaders and Innovators Award Brunch, has become a premier platform celebrating cultural excellence and influence. Named in Billboard and Forbes and awarded an honorary doctorate from Rider University, Joy is a respected voice on legacy building, leadership, and the real lessons behind sustained success. And I want us to always remember that word, legacy building, or 2 words. Dwight Franklin is the president and CEO of Professional Management Consulting Services, a firm he founded in 2006 that has generated nearly 70 million in revenue while supporting over 200 professionals across the country. With nearly 30 years of entrepreneurial and leadership experience, Dwight is a Howard University and GE Technical Leadership Program graduate, holding certificates in PMP, Six Sigma Black Belt, Scrum, and ISO auditing. He is also the co-founder of the Williams Franklin Foundation, which has awarded over $600,000 in scholarships to HBCU students, a graduate of the Babson 10KSB and SBA Emerging Leaders Program. Dwight is committed to mentorship and building resilient, values-driven businesses. I can't wait to get into with you, Dwight. Cami Twiggs Taylor is a visionary leader with over 20 years of experience designing and scaling programs that expand opportunities for under-resourced communities. As the driving force behind the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center's Milestone Circles program, she has helped grow the initiative to support over 6,000 small businesses nationwide. Cami has led major regional and national initiatives in both the nonprofit and corporate sectors, including her tenure as executive director at Reading Partners. Her work is rooted in equity, innovation, and deep commitment to community-centered entrepreneurship. Ms. Taliba Bales is a Birmingham native and the founder and CEO of TMB Tax and Financial Services, a certified B corporation focused on economic inclusion through tax and small business strategy. With over 18 years of federal experience, including roles in Capitol Hill and the Department of Justice, she has helped entrepreneurs secure over $8.5 million in funding. Her 2020 testimony before the US Senate has helped shape national access to capital efforts to inspired her to Get Bankable CEO coaching program. Taliba serves on the IRS National Taxpayer Advocacy Panel and the board of the Small Business Majority, while leading statewide small business initiatives across Alabama. So we're going to jump right in. Is that correct? I can't see my screen very well. It's a little different on my screen. So, Carrie, okay, great. I'm seeing everyone now. Woohoo! Hi, beautiful faces.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so happy to be here with you all. So sometimes these webinars, as you will, I don't even like to call it a webinar. It could become boring and, people are like drab. Oh, let's not make it that. Let's just make this exciting and engaging as possible. So I want to invite you all to join in on a conversation with us. So it's the first question that we had out on the table for folks is, what's been the most challenging part of your business journey so far? Can you all see the chat and some of the responses? Maybe you can help me read out some of those responses to just bring in and get you all active and not me talking at the screen.
Looks like funding's the number one challenge.
Yes. All right. Funding is the number one challenge. So we can talk a lot about funding, right? And this is always a pain point for entrepreneurs, whether you're starting up a small venture, I say kitchen table venture, you're making candles, you're catering, whatever it is, you still need that funding. So I have a question for you all. Who was your first investor, whether it's, larger kind of capital investor, a bank, or your parents or a sibling or a friend?
Well, I would say it was me first. I funded my business with sweat equity, the first thing, and then as you grow, you will definitely need some resources. So I went to a bank and got a loan.
Excellent. And we could talk a little bit more about that later on the details. One more person share a little bit more.
I would say that my first funding came actually from a former Howard alum through the former sponsorship. It was the first time I had even thought of putting together something called Culture Creators, and I just kind of talked to her about what my intention was, and she's like, "Hey, this makes totally sense for my company." And actually, she was at VH1 at the time, and they were launching These Are the Breaks, and so we kind of strategize about how to incorporate this 80s and 90s throwback moment into the launch of Culture Creators, because it's kind of it married the theme of highlighting people who are behind the scenes driving Black culture. So it just made perfect sense. So I'd say, like, for me, it came through sponsorship.
Awesome. And I know we can all talk a lot about sponsorship and also championship, what that looks like, whether we're entrepreneurial, working within an organization, and running major departments and P&L lines, and then taking that same training and being entrepreneurial. So Joy, this is a great segue, because I really want to kick it off with you first. You started telling us a little bit about your story of how you got your funding. What is Culture Creators? How did you get started? Where did you first learn to pitch? What is Joy's story that you want to share in the time that we have?
Okay, well, I'll make it brief because I'm up in age a little bit. But I started when I worked at Atlantic Records. I transitioned from marketing into brand partnerships, and in brand partnerships, my job was to kind of be like an internal salesperson for talent signed to the record label. And so I had developed those skills, and I just had to turn it and use it for myself. Culture Creators was birthed out of the idea that I saw a lot of brown and Black young people being displaced out of the industry. When it came time for hiring and internship positions, I'd ask, hey, where are, more applicants of color? And the response was, well, these were only the ones that, came through the filter system. So it made me think. I said, well, I went to Howard University, so I know that can't be true, that there are more talent out there. And so it made me take a deeper look into the internal process of how we even recruited students for our internship programs and our college rep program. So we did restructuring there. And then, you layer that with the problem of young people coming up with not necessarily knowing how to network through their peer system, and they're so focused on networking up. So my goal was to put us all in a room. One thing I've learned, and I know to be true, is that if you put people together and give them access, that can change the trajectory of anyone's career or anyone's business. And so that's all Culture Creators was about, was just bringing people together who were behind the scenes, who had an impact on Black culture, bringing them into one room. So at the time when I did this, I had no idea what I was starting. It just kind of ballooned into this whole, what people will call DEI kind of thing nowadays. But it's really about building a pipeline to the entertainment business, empowering our people with access, and equipping them with the education so they can become successful.
Joy, when I hear you say that and talk about that direct experience, we often find the solutions because we're proximate, right? And that was, like you said, before DEI. We were finding the challenges and making sure that we were creating access for people. So with that, where is Culture Creators today? So you started this how long ago?
So actually, October will make 10 years. We'll be celebrating. We'll be celebrating our 10th year. And I'll be honest to tell you, I was an entrepreneur at the time. I still was working at Atlantic Records. Culture Creators was really kind of a passion project because I just wanted people to win and have opportunity. It wasn't until about 3 years ago that I decided, hey, in order for me to grow this and really drive change and innovation, I've got to commit some time to it.
Yes.
So I would say that I'm on a newer side of entrepreneurship. But now, like, we have a foundation where we work with college students, and we have curriculum we build with for film, TV, music, and sports, and in a financial sector, and we take them through that. We equip them. I like to say we give them the behind the scenes conversations, the conversations that we would want someone to tell our young people, and to be really honest and give them the real lay of the land about how to navigate these industries as a person of color. We provide scholarships. And we also, on the flip side of that, we provide you mentioned our Temple event, which is the Leaders and Innovators Awards, which is, we celebrate our 9th awards season this past June in LA. And it brings people who are in front of the camera and behind the scenes, brings them to the stage and gives them their flowers while they're still here. Yeah. And it's meant to amplify our stories, because if we don't be a gatekeepers and a narrators of our own stories, who are we going to wait to tell it? And I want to make sure that we champion that concept, as well as I fight the narrative that we can't work together, and again, put people in a room. And so it's a very, very powerful room, from tech, business, venture capital, Hollywood directors, all in the same room. And it's interesting that we don't know each other. And so it just builds I believe in the power of building community. And that's what our focus has been. And so we take this, and we are actually going to different cities. We've been in Detroit, we've been in Dallas, we've been in New Orleans. And this year we're working on Africa and London.
And maybe the Caribbean, because, being
yes,
Japanese,
absolutely.
There, I got to pull in the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me a little bit about how you've seen this impact the pipeline for professionals. I think about my role as an executive director leading a nationwide film festival, right? And working with big studios from NBC, Starz, HBO, being on movie sets and seeing second unit directors, knowing what they get paid, knowing what script reviewers, I can't remember what their names are, knowing what they get paid, and they did not look like us.
Mm-hmm.
How is your work? How have you seen the shift in just, creating this access of even knowledge, include inviting young people to say, you can be a second unit director, you can be an EP or ED, whatever it is, on that kind of entertainment. And I don't know much about music, but the entertainment space, so that they're actually making the decisions and driving the decisions, and they're leading that conversation, as opposed to just kind of taking what is passed down.
Well, again, it's about access, right? So what's really important for any program we do is to make sure that our students walk away with an executive mentor. So whether it's someone who is, in their respective field, or someone where they aspire to, because what we have to do is we have to have real conversations about what the pay gap is, what they should be making. And that's what we teach our students early on. And that's why peer-to-peer mentoring is so important. We talk to them about, like, it's important for you to talk to the person next to you, and be honest about what you're experiencing, what they're going through, because 9 times out of 10, this person next to you may have more information than the person you're trying to, a senior leader you're trying to reach to about a situation. So we really encourage peer-to-peer mentoring, peer-to-peer communication, and understanding that one of the things they have to do when they walk through our program is they have to be equipped with an elevator pitch, because I tell them that there are moments that they'll meet people, like on set or at festivals, that, people in senior leadership, they may have like 3 minutes to talk to you. And that has to be the most impactful 3 minutes that you are going to make. So one of the things we tell them is that not only you have to know what's happening in your industry and stay up on what's happening and stay knowledgeable and stay connected, but also be able to communicate effectively who you are, where you've been, and where you want to go. Because 9 times out of 10, that first impression will open a door for you.
Absolutely. Taliba, I see you're smiling. Cami, I would love to bring you into this conversation. Joy, don't go far. As you're listening and you're shaking your head, tell me what you're thinking. Tell the audience of your own experience and how you're an expert in this panel. So talk to us.
Well, what I find interesting is the work that she is doing, that Joy is doing, is very much aligned to what entrepreneurs should be doing. So building your community, being sure that you are understanding, what your vision is as well, and what is that quick elevator pitch? What is that? And we talk at the center, that elevator pitch is where you're growing, that vision of where you're growing to. And so being sure that you're crystal clear of where you're going. So when you're in those moments and you're able to connect with someone, you will be able to be very clear with where you're growing to as well.
Taliba, you are in the financial services and fluency space. Tell me and tell us a little bit about your kind of experts gathering of information of how we are approaching and how we should be approaching our financial decisions as entrepreneurs. I tell people, I don't care. The one thing you need to have as an entrepreneur is make sure you have a sound accountant and or CPA. Like, I don't pay yourself, pay them first.
They will keep you out of trouble.
And keep you honest.
Well, that's a perfect segue to my number one fact that I want to lead with, and that is don't run away from your numbers. I think everything that we'll talk about this evening and what we've already talked about when you're crafting your elevator speech and when you are informing others about what it is that you do, why you chose this particular line of your business, I want you to know that your numbers inform your decisions all the way through. And so one of the biggest mistakes that I see in working with business owners, and this is not just startups. I mean, this is all the time. Before we went live, we were talking about someone on here having to make sure payroll was done. Like you never get away from your numbers. And I keep emphasizing because in the world of our Google University and YouTube University, we make a lot of generalized decisions based upon what someone has told you or what someone else is doing in their business. But I just want to kind of guide the conversation and just put out there my number one fact in all of this, and that is don't run away from your numbers.
I couldn't agree more. It's kind of
I know we don't always have the lively sort of like sexy type of, hey, I'm the fun person coming in the room, right? Because let's face it, sometimes we don't like what our numbers say.
Yes.
But I say that those do, even when you don't like it, that could activate whatever beast mode that may be hiding in you because you don't like them. So when I say your numbers, what do I mean? Even as a startup, one of the things that I talk about in my cohort experiences with business owners is at revenue. So let's talk about it. Are you making money? Is what at revenue means, right? And so even when you're not making money, I want you to know what your numbers are, because I can bet you that you're spending money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not making money and you're an entrepreneur, you're probably still spending numbers. So you still have numbers. So that's what I want to, make sure when I'm talking about numbers, I don't want you to stop listening because you're not at revenue or you're not making money yet, because you still have numbers because you're spending money.
Can I add something to that real quick?
Yes, please, Dwight.
Because what you're saying is right on point. For any business, there's 4 key financial statements: your income statement, your balance sheet, cash flow statement, and say it again. P&L. Thank you. And a lot of small businesses don't start to understand what that means. and what that looks like and how do you even do it.
Yeah.
Google, YouTube, AI, there's so many different things out there right now to make it super easy for you to learn how to keep track of your finances. Because if you don't set up a budget, you're going to be in trouble. And you have to know your budget. You have to be able to project out what your finances are going to look like, what your revenues and your expenses are going to be. And you have to watch them. I'm not going to say daily, but you definitely at a maximum amount monthly, right? Depending on the type of business you have. But every business should be looking at your finances every month at a minimum. I should say at a minimum. Because if you don't, you can definitely get into a rabbit hole where your expenses are exceeding your revenues, and you never want to be in that position because stress gets real high at that point.
Yes, and you know, I love my CPA so much, but when I see him ping me, I'm like, oh God, what did I do?
Right.
How many in your cohorts, marketing came up as another kind of big challenge area, and I can speak candidly. Even for me, I'm still trying to figure out, even as a marketing exec, how the heck do I market my business in a world where things are changing so rapidly, right? I had to hire a millennial to do my social because I can't even do Instagram properly. I'm shamed, I know. But how do we really utilize, to Dwight's point, how do we lean in, especially in this age of AI where a lot of us are very resistant? How do we lean in and really think differentiatedly about how we market our business, whether it's a product, service, brick and mortar? What do you see happening?
Well, the first thing I'll say is figuring out what works for your business. And it's really hard when you have everyone that's kind of doing everything. So it's like, gosh, they did a reel on TikTok and they just received sold out all of their products and all of these different or Facebook ads. And it just can get very distracting. And so one of the things that we talk to our entrepreneurs about is don't be afraid to take a moment and do an assessment. Take a look at the actions that you have already been taken in regards to marketing. Take a look at, talk to some folks. So back to community, have your community, talk to community about what they have been doing. Maybe those that may be 6 months or 8 months ahead of you inside of this journey of entrepreneurship. And don't be afraid to test things out. You may go down a road and get to the end of it, and then it may not work well for the work that you're doing with your business. And that is okay, because that learning, that's valuable right there all by itself.
Yes. So with that, Dwight, we want to hear from you. What's your story? How did you fail up? And I use that term fail up, especially in the startup phase. And people sometimes think it's a negative connotation, but to Kami's point, when it's a muscle that we're exercising, and it's building this resilience and this grit and this grind to keep going. How did you get here from 2006 to here? And we're so proud of you, by the way.
Wow. Well, thank you. First of all, thank you very much. How did I get here? So I would say that's a long story. So I'm gonna try to do Joy's mode and keep it concise. I started my story actually started as I left Howard. I started doing network marketing, Amway, Excel. I don't know if some of those folks, if you of a certain age, you may know what those were back in the day. But I learned that it turned me on to something, which was I can only work a certain number of hours in a day. I can only work a certain number of hours in a week. I can only work a certain number of hours in a month and in a year. But the way capitalism works is you figure out a way to maximize your time. And so over time, I learned different ways where I could do it. And for me, I learned that I could just start doing consulting. And so state, local, federal government consulting. And I started hiring people, growing the business. And it was working. No one who is successful has not had failure. So when you said failing up, that's absolutely right. Right. And I actually wouldn't call it failure. I call it success. In the moment, it feels like failure because it's stressful. You don't know if the next door is going to be. if those question marks you have, you start doubting yourself. And is this, and you're looking at God, is this what I'm supposed to do? You know, so all those things happen. And when you learn from the mistakes, then I call it a success. And for me, one of my biggest mistakes was learning how to make hard decisions. And the impact people, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm in a people business. I don't have a product. You know, I don't have people making products. I'm in a people business. My number one asset is my team. And so, you know, you have to make sure you're taking care of your team.
Yes.
I think we talked about this earlier before we came on. Payroll is important. In 19 plus years of business, we've never missed payroll. And I'm gonna knock on wood. Hope it never ever happens, right? You never miss payroll. I've had to come out my own pocket.
Exactly.
Line of credit on the house, all of that.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You know?
Let's talk about that. Like, it's real, right? Credit cards,
Yeah.
like you max out on credit cards. You're like, I don't know how this is going to get paid.
Yep.
But it's in the same situation. 19 years later, never missed a payroll. So that like uniquely leads into the next thing, Dwight, and we'll continue on your story because it's really, really important for us to kind of spend a little bit of time celebrating that success, because almost 20 years is not form and fashion. It is hard work. And you talk about making difficult decisions. And I also look at making like quick and decisive decisions. So in your learnings and your mistakes and failing up, however we call it, how did making those mistakes help you sharpen that muscle of making quick decisions so that you don't have a repeat?
Yeah. Lessons learned. you know,
Check.
lessons learned. You know, you if you don't, you have to reflect. Number one,
Yeah.
right? Take an honest look at yourself. You know, and don't blame other people, because it always starts with you. You are the captain of this ship.
Yeah.
You know, and what can you do better? What can I do better? How can I avoid this? What could I have done better to make a better decision or decisions? You know, so that we won't be in this situation. Because once you get in that situation, you never want to go back to it, right?
Yeah.
For all of us who've been through it, you don't want to repeat the same stuff. You know, you want to learn from that, move on to the next thing. And I would say, for every business has trajectories. You hopefully you're growing, and then you level off, and then there's a period where you have to grow again. Then you level off. And
Yes.
you're going through that.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And there's certain things at each step that you go through that you yourself have to learn.
Yes.
You know, I teach my kids, it's always about, life is about learning. This journey is always about educating yourself on how to be a better human, how to be better spiritually, how to be a better entrepreneur, how to be a better whatever it is, right? And so you have to educate yourself. You can't, we were talking about AI, you know, 5 years ago, no one was talking about AI, right? But today, everybody's talking about AI, and it's only been around in the big domain for about 3 years, you know. But if you don't know it as an entrepreneur, especially in my business, if you're not into AI right now, you're behind.
Pay for the Chat GPT. I can tell you that. You can
absolutely.
Right. As we like to say in the Caribbean, knock your stomach and buy it.
Right.
$99 for the whole year. Just go fast on coffee. No. So with that, I would like to introduce our second connection question, so that we can then move into the transition to another path in our program. So have you experienced a mistake in business that changed your course or helped you grow? So we want to hear from you. And if you haven't started your business yet, right? Let's do some forecasting. What do you believe in your heart of hearts as you think about launching this business? Okay, I haven't launched yet. I haven't been in business as long as some of these people on the panel. You know, I'm now ideating. Think of the worst thing that can happen and like let's work back to mitigate against that risk, and or we can help you, we can answer that question, the thing that maybe be crippling you from, I don't want to make this mistake and that's why I haven't launched. So tell us about that. And while we wait on some of those responses, we will bring back Miss Cami and Taliba, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the stories and the insights that you're hearing already. The driven change makers that are here with us on this amazing panel, based on what you've heard so far and what you know from just your experience, your field. What do most entrepreneurs need to understand to avoid or recover from common missteps? And like, let's just think again, let's think about some of the things that you've seen, and let's just dive in.
Oh, let me just start by saying, give yourself grace.
Yes.
You are
Yeah.
going to make mistakes, and the entrepreneurs who've been doing it for, goodness knows how many years, they still make mistakes today. Think about the biggest companies that you know, and how many times that they had to do a press release or whatever the thing is. So give yourself grace. Entrepreneurship is a learning journey. So be curious as you're on the journey. Talk to some folk. Ask lots of questions, and if you don't know, that's okay. Just say you don't know, and seek the answers.
I was going to say, be honest with your customers, particularly if you're in a customer service facing industry. You know, people love honesty and transparency. They prefer to be told the absolute truth as opposed to, some made up story. Taliba, what else? What are you thinking as you digest some of what you've heard?
I think if I had a big old sign, I should have made a sign that said number so I can bring the word into the camera. So when I do this, picture of me holding a big old word that says numbers, because I would say, and I'm guilty of this, that the biggest mistake when it comes to something that I see all entrepreneurs make is not properly valuing your time, not properly
Mm,
pricing this thing that you do. So, because we're in it, like, I am passionate about X. The reason why you started your business is that X. But I see where a lot of us struggle with, and so I want to get paid X for this thing. So I would say that the most common huge mistake that we make as entrepreneurs is leading with that passion, and that passion not matching what's in our bank account. I mean, we feel it all the time. We're like, man, with as much work I'm putting into this thing of my business, I should have like 5 or 6 commas in my account by now. And that's not happening because we're not properly putting a price or a
yeah.
value on the thing that we are doing in our business. And so I encourage us to write what am I worth, and how do you make that answer? How do you answer that?
Exactly. Yeah.
Numbers, right? Because I have to go back to what I led with in the sense of what are your costs? And I just hopped off of a webinar preceding this where we looked at, if you're selling t-shirts, I'm just using this as a simplified thing. You're selling t-shirts and you paid $25 to purchase the supplies to turn around said product. Okay, you're to turn around that t-shirt. You know that you spent $25. So at the bare minimum, and I know that this may seem simplified, but we honestly do struggle with this. And that's why I want to use this as an example, because that $25 is a number that you
Yeah.
spent. That's a real number. So
Yeah.
at the bare minimum, I need for you to charge more than $25. That's how you put the price. That's how you value what it is you've chosen to do in your business. And a lot of times we miss that because we're so leading with, I make the best t-shirts and I'm gonna invest in this social media post so I can sell it, and we're all up here, but I want you to be down here in the weeds, nuts and bolts, looking at your numbers, because that's how you're going to avoid, you know what I mean, putting a value on this thing that you have chosen to be in business for.
And that's really, really important. I think, and we can use our examples, right? I think about how I share with entrepreneurs, and also when I share these things, I'm telling myself, I am tethered to my business, yes, but my business, like, my business owes me. Like, the business owes me, like I'm collecting from somebody that owed me from long, long ago. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So in as much as I'm there, I've blood, sweat, and tears, like, how do we create this mindset where we're a little more separated? Yeah, we're running the business, but the business is still a business. It is an entity by itself. And I'm over here and I'm clocking every single hour. If you're in a business, or you're launching something and you haven't been keeping up with how many hours you're spending growing this thing, birthing this thing, I encourage you to do it. And make sure you're putting that number as if you were going to be paid in a corporate setting or whatever setting that you're in. With that, Cami, how do you encourage the entrepreneurs that you're engaged with in this legal protection, financial planning, financial protection of business, including protection is building the right team, the right insurances that you have to have, the right documentation. I hear a lot of times people conflating bank accounts, like, oh, everything from the business is going into my personal account. How do we get folks excited about thinking that this could be the next Walmart, right? And it's not that we're aspiring to be the next Walmart, but how do we think in that way? And we really want people to engage with us. We can't see you, and we're here for you, and we want to be able to feel you and feel your questions, feel any celebrations. If you have something to celebrate, we want to know. If you have a pain point that you need us to help figure out, that's what this is for. So please, please, please feel free to drop those comments, thoughts, questions in the chat. If not, I'm going to find a way for StreamYard to take me to see who's online. I'm just start calling names. All right, Cami.
All right, before I go there, I do want to hit that last point. So one of the at the center, we conduct research. And part of that research that we did a few years ago was develop a toolkit called Your Pay Plan. A key finding of that plan was that there was number one positive factor for women business owners in reaching cash flow break even was paying themselves early. And so we saw also positive correlations with paying their rent, mortgage. So basically those responsibilities that you have to do. But in line with that, understanding that the earlier that you pay yourself, the more resilient, the more sustainable that you are building your business, because you know that there's a line item. And does not have to be, because I understand it's like, wait a minute, I'm not making any, like, how can I even pay anything? If it's $1, if it's $100, whatever that is, but being able to build in yourself in the work that you're doing. And that's back to everything that was already said, being clear with your finances, your personal finances, your business finances. In that toolkit, we'll have that. It's on the center's website, that thecenter.nasdaq.org. But you will be able to go through the whole process to be able to create a plan to pay yourself fairly. But to your other point, yes, building your team is one of the items that I feel as if many founders just wait too long to do, because you feel as if you cannot afford to be able to do so. So I often ask founders, like, where are you spending your time? How are you spending your time? Are you spending more time, to your point, working more so on your business, or are you working inside of your business? And are you working inside of your zone of genius? Because if this is not your zone of genius, then you need to find other people to connect with that's within their zone of genius and save your time.
Yes, time is everything.
Yes, yes, yes. And so I, one of the things is there's always, I always suggest our entrepreneurs do is to create your own advisory board, your peer entrepreneurs or mentors or advisors that can help you see opportunities and blind spots. And so we know that friends and family, they don't always understand this entrepreneur journey. They're like, okay, you haven't found a job yet? You still doing that? It's been 10 years, So
Wait, it's coming.
yeah, it's coming. They're like, okay, and so so you have your friends and family, but you also need your entrepreneurial family
Yes.
that you'll be able to lean on for support. You can't make payroll. You have a good peer that you can say, hey, I need help.
Yeah.
You support me in what's next. And so community it's sometimes you feel like, oh, that's a feel good, do I really need community? But it's strategic, it's leverage that's going to help you move from where you are today and where you're going next.
I'll tell you, I got through one of the hardest times in my life building this new restaurant because I had community. I had people I will call and just whine and like let go. And I had the tears to go with it. I had the challenges, like trying to figure out where am I gonna, like, how am I supposed to do this? Who told them to add that to the budget? Joy and Dwight, I want to bring you back in. So can my tech guys bring my folks? How did you build your team, Joy? You're 10 years in. How are you feeling about your team? And Dwight, same for you. I think Cammie's point in, we have to bring in folks who are brilliant and who are experts so that we can really begin to focus on the business itself. So how do you build your teams? Joy, you
Well, I want to go back to what Cammie talked about that I wanted to snap about is building an advisory board. I
Mm.
can't speak. I can't tell you how that's where your wealth is, really. It's putting people around you, one who are smarter than you. But as business owners, we have blind spots. And
Yeah.
so we need people who can see areas in our business that we don't necessarily see because we're so close to it. And
Yes.
also people who can bring your name and your business in rooms that you're not in. And for me, that has been really, really instrumental. It's something that I wish I'd had developed early on. It's something that I've invested in the last like 3 years as becoming an entrepreneur. And it's really helped me shape the lens in which I look at business decisions, even down to who I bring on my team.
Yeah.
Uh, because some when you are the head and the visionary, it's important that you put people in position that allow you to operate in that space so you can keep the momentum and your business going. And then you get the other people and you build a team around you that can answer and solve the pain points of the business so that you don't have to put your hands in every single segment of the business. And that also, as a business owner, means you have to trust people, right? And they may approach challenges differently than you may, but you have to also empower them to make mistakes.
Yes.
You're going to make mistakes, right? So that you're able to grow your business in a way that takes risk and can also be a leader in a particular segment. So I think that's been something that I wish I'd learned earlier on, was to really lean in on putting people around me to advise me as I want to grow this. And then having them also play a part in, looking at my team, making sure that I'm putting people in places where they should be.
And recommending folks, right? When you're specifically looking. So Dwight, I'm curious from you, how many people, or how did you build your team? Did you have friends who said, I know this really smart person who's skilled in, who's agile certified and they should blah blah blah. They're a friend, I'm vouching for them. How did you have some of that in your work? You're on mute, Dwight. StreamYard got you.
You would think that after COVID we would learn, right? I think everything Joy said, 1,000% exclamation points, bold and underlined. Cami right on point with an advisory board. It's important to hire people smarter than you. Very important. If you don't, you're always going to be the smartest person in the room. You're going to be working 40 hours a day, and everybody's going to be coming to you for every problem to solve, and you're never going to grow your business because you're going to be in problem solving mode all day.
Yeah.
And so for me in the beginning, it was people that I knew, but as I said, when you as you grow and then you level off and you get ready for that next level, you may have to have different people.
Yes.
I'm gonna be real with you about that, right?
Yes.
You have certain people that help you to get to a certain point, but
Yeah.
they may not necessarily be the same people that help you get to the next level, right?
And that's okay.
And that's okay. That's absolutely okay. And that's a tough decision that needs to be made, right?
That's
And
that quick, decisive decision piece. Like my husband tells me all the time, when people show you who they are, believe them. Right. So how did you continue to nurture that muscle and exercise that muscle of, because it feels we're human and then we connect with people and you're like, but I'm sorry, bro, you just ain't gonna make it.
It's the tough decision, but being honest means being honest, right? You got to be honest when things are good, and you got to be when things are perceived as good, and you got to be honest when things are perceived as bad. And most people will respect honesty. They may not like it, right? But they would. It's better if you have a friendship or a friend who you brought in and it's worked great for a few years, and now it's not. You need to be honest, because if you're not, that friendship is going to go away because you're going to be resentful. They're going to be resentful, right? And that happens in relationships and business. And so, integrity is an important aspect of it. But I would say that getting yourself, as Cami said, around other entrepreneurs, because nobody understands entrepreneurship like an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
You can't go to your employees and talk about entrepreneurship. They don't get it. It just is what it is. You can't go to your family members who aren't entrepreneurs and talk to them about it.
Yes.
They don't get it, right? If they're not an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs understand the grind because it's a grind. It's risky. It's a lot of work. It's ups and it's downs. It's highs and it's lows. It's tears. I've cried. My wife has saved my butt so many times, that I've had to lean on her to get through stuff.
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, I'm like, it's the greatest reward, and it's a great sacrifice too, right?
Yeah.
And I would never change it. I wouldn't change it, not a minute of it. And I love being an entrepreneur, but you have to surround yourself with people who are entrepreneurs. Get in it. If you don't have people in your sphere of influence, you can have an advisory board. Try to get into CEO groups, like think tanks. They are phenomenal. Yeah. They are absolutely phenomenal. You get so much knowledge and lessons learned from other people that's invaluable and helps you to grow. And it helps when you understand you're not the only one going through that struggle by yourself.
Yeah. I know that when we have to continue to operate with uncompromising integrity. And one of the things that I learned very, very early, thanks to my corporate training, was how to be very comfortable being uncomfortable. And in entrepreneurship, it becomes very uncomfortable sometimes. And somehow we collectively, we on this panel, you listening and watching, we have to continue to be okay being uncomfortable. So I want to transition to what is now our third and final question, connection question, and is what kind of support would make the biggest difference for your business right now? I want you to think about that. You don't have to, respond right away because we're going to be taking questions shortly, but just think about this and put it in the chat. And then for this amazing, illustrious panel, um, you know, for you, what was the biggest difference in your business when you think about, Dwight, you talked about the growth, how we go up and we kind of march in place for a while, and sometimes we feel stuck. Sometimes we feel like we're losing, but in losing we win, according to my dad. In losing we win. What has made some big differences, decisions that you've made that really help bolster and rocket ship you And I would love to hear from our experts as well. Like, what did you see, particularly Taliba, as you're in this financial space? Like, maybe a story from one of your clients that they made a simple shift and it was monumental. So, who wants to jump in? Who wants to take it first?
I'll okay. I'll jump in. I'd say that one of the things that's been really instrumental for me is looking at my business and looking at my competitors
Mm,
and finding the white space, right? Finding what makes me different, and also evaluating what they do really, really well, and breaking it down to find out where's my entry point to for me to turn to for me to enter in and to change business in that space. And then also building strategic partnerships. I
yes.
can't speak to that enough. We don't have to do as entrepreneurs everything ourselves. Sometimes there are people who are marketing experts or who have a marketing company that may need to build clientele. Like, if you can offer your services, you can barter, you can build strategic partnerships where you bring someone on and they handle one part of the business and you handle another part of the business. For me, we're such a small team. Without strategic partnerships, I don't know that we would be where we are today, because it allows us to grow in spaces without the heavy weight of doing
Yes.
everything ourselves. So I think we have to look at business and put them in different boxes, and then so you can create this overall picture and then dissect it. Like, where are your pain points and who is in this space that you can maybe partner with to grow?
As we think of that, I want to propose something to Taliba that is a big, it's been in my brain for a long time. And I see a lot of businesses, right? So we have mom and pop shop that are so hugely successful. They've been in business 30, 40 years. Their children may not be interested in taking it over. The parents or family members want to exit, or it might be in the family for 100 years. And then you've got young people who are like, no, I'm going to go be an anesthesiologist. How should we be thinking about M&A, mergers and acquisitions?
Well, can I do my numbers thing? Because I actually just, I mean, honestly, I got it. I mean, I'm so serious. Like, you can't escape it. In order for you to even begin to think you have a legacy to pass down, right? You have to be looking and referencing your financial documents. And I'll tell you that even potential buyers, that does come into play. Like, you could do everything really well on marketing. You could have a brick and mortar and it looks like you have tons of business going on. I've actually been at the table of a potential acquisition, and the business that was in consideration for being purchased, their financials were horrible, and their financials did not match their tax returns, and so that was a red flag for me. So, in order for you to truly build a legacy, whether you have children or whether you want an outside investor to come on and purchase your business, you want to exit your business, you
Yes.
want to be preparing your financials to include how you have filed taxes in that scope. And so, again, you never really escape getting that thing right, and having, when you talk about strategic partnerships, and we've also said like what your genius zone is. I think that's what Cami said. I really like that. I'm still in that. um it's really important, if you are not good in that thing, to have someone on your team who is, and to have someone who has experience in that thing, because it could be that you have one view of how it looks, and that usually can be the outside view, but only until you sit down and look at what counts, which is the financial statements and the tax returns, informed business decisions, does it really have value. So I would just say, as you're you're running your business, you're doing your record keeping, you are having your financial statements. Those financial statements and tax returns, though they may appear to be external in value because you're sharing them with the IRS or you're sharing them with investors, they really are internal treasure troves as well. In the sense of if you're having transparency meetings with your team on those monthly financials and how they may look, if you know that ultimately you want to sell this business, then you want to have that identified in your timeline and make sure that your financials are reflective of your decision to pass this thing down. And of course, you also want to make sure that your entity type is actually for that.
Yes.
I've
Yes.
also seen in working with business owners that have an LLC. LLCs do not survive you after death, or something of that nature. So if you know that you are building something that you want to sell, or that you want your children or a family member or a close friend to be able to take on after you, that you want to be talking to a lawyer at some point on legacy building and have the right entity structure and financials to prepare yourself for that.
The other option is, and the group's name, the company's name is escaping me, but I met them at Skull War Forum in Oxford this year. They have like heritage in their name. They work with companies that allow the employees to take over ownership as the
Hmm.
companies may be transitioning out. And I also want to note to our viewers, our friends online, it's so incredibly important. None of us are perfect. Let's reiterate that. We've made many mistakes. We could write many, many books on this, but staying ready where your financials are
Mhm.
concerned, particularly when there are grant opportunities, when you're looking to go after a loan, like your documentation, good standing, clean hands, wherever you are, those things are so critical in order for you to be able to segue. So we're running short on time. So I want us to very quickly popcorn around the room and talk about the tools and resources. I know we have a lot of recommendations built in here, so let's just try to focus on tools and recommend and resources that we can support our entrepreneurs watching, especially the young people. Anyone want to kind of take in or extract one of these and talk a little bit more about them? Dwight, I'm going to put the spotlight light on you, particularly around AI and the use of AI. I would just love for you to underscore that a bit more.
Sure. AI is here to stay, whether you like it or not. You better get on the bandwagon, or you're going to be left behind watching everybody else move forward. I'm telling everybody that I know. I tell all of my staff, you better learn it. I put tools out there for them. It makes you work faster,
Yeah.
smarter, more efficient, higher quality, and and we're just tapping into it. I mean, it's growing. It's every 4 to 6 months it's evolving. I mean, the internet was the biggest thing that humanity has ever seen in technology that changed the world at such a fast clip. AI is 100 times faster than that, and so it's bringing a lot of fear to people, which is understandable. We've all seen Terminator and iRobot and all that stuff. You know, can't predict the future, but it's here. And if you're an entrepreneur, you should use it, because the time it took me to start my business in '06 versus now, and you
Yeah.
starting your business with AI. Wow. I mean, you could be so much further ahead of all of us with the help of AI, even if it's just figuring out how to do a business plan.
Yeah.
You can talk to Chat GPT and have a conversation with it, and it will converse back and forth with you. It's pretty wild, but it's exceptionally helpful. You can create marketing plans. You can talk about your financials with it. There's so many ways that you can use it based on your creativity and your needs. And there's plenty of tools out there. Don't be afraid of it. Learn about AI. Make it work for you, because it's not going anywhere.
Anyone else on a tool or resource that is just exceptional and that will help bolster our entrepreneurs who are with us tonight?
Yeah. So
Um, okay, I'll be real quick. One of the AIs I listed here is Perplexity AI. I don't think people talk about it enough. If you're doing deep dive research, data, any kind of research on like other businesses or any financial sector support to support your business. Perplexity is it does a deeper dive. Listen, all of them, even ChatGPT, they're all creating these. They're all revolutionizing themselves and innovating themselves to kind of like stumble over each other. But I found that Perplexity does the really deep dive on data and all insights. So I think that's really important when we're talking about when Talib was talking about numbers, right? Numbers and data, and to support why your idea should be funded. So if you need insights in demographics or case studies, Perplexity is really a great go-to. And the one book that I give all my mentees is called Good in a Room by Stephanie Palmer. That book is really for people who are pitching their films in Hollywood, but what it does, it dissects the different personalities that you'll meet along the way and how to win them over. So as business owners, and we're out there, whether you're trying to sell yourself or sell your business or get funding, understanding people's personalities and how to overcome them, that's an excellent book to kind of dive into and understand.
So the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center offers free resources to entrepreneur. The work that we do at the center provides access and knowledge through live classes, workbooks and toolkits, mentorship, as well as immersive programming experiences, such as the Milestone Circles program, which is the program that I lead. Milestone Circles is a 12-week immersive programming experience that helps founders accelerate their leadership and achieve significant strategic company growth. We are actually opening up our year 5 program in about a month from now. And so we will be operating over the course of the next several months. And so applications are open. So if you go to our website at nasdaqcenter.org, you can apply to the Milestone Circles program, but you can also access all of our live classes, workbooks, and toolkits, as well as the Mentor Makers platform right there on our website.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Anyone with one last tool or resource? Taliba, did you share one?
I did. Well, I put in the chat and I noticed here that it actually posted on Facebook. So I'll call it out for our viewers that may be on YouTube and for folks who will watch the recording. So my firm has built a platform called Bankably, and Bankably is my baby. It is our way into tech. It represents users that want to come on one platform and have their taxes, accounting, watch classes, attend cohorts, as well as being matched with the lenders all in one platform. And I'm happy to say we're celebrating a year. And tomorrow we're actually going to be doing our first sort of demo here in Birmingham about a bankability score that one of our fellows has built for us. So it's really exciting. We do have a free way into Bankably. So if you want to connect with us on taxes, accounting, and all things in that space. And remember, with my numbers, imaginary numbers little thing, I put that link to the Bankably Power Partner Playbook in the Facebook chat. So
Awesome.
You have that.
That's very cool.
And Taliba, what's going on with your podcast?
Well, so that's what everybody was. The last time Samantha and I connected, I had the Black and Bankable podcast rocking and rolling. But you know what? I have been putting this crown onto Bankably. So I have done a podcast.
We'll go where you go.
Yes, we are. Yes, so that baby is Bankably.
I'm so excited, and I'm grateful to be able to reconnect too. And I miss you and miss Birmingham. Let's have some fun and go into live questions. We're going to open it up to our attendees for a few questions. Karen, are you ready for us? Pause.
The comments, but we would love everyone to give us your questions. So please comment. You know, we have these great experts at the table, and you don't want to miss this opportunity. So please ask questions. And if, this is just a great opportunity.
Or comments, if you know something that you've taken away that you want to share. We want to know that this was helpful, and that that this is needed, right? And your insights will tell us where we should be going next with a program like this.
Yep. So let's see.
And maybe the next time we'll have it in person.
Yes.
All righty.
And we know there's a lag too between which, platform you might be.
Yes.
There may be a slight delay.
While we're waiting, I have a question. And I think there's a lot of stigmas around using AI, and people are afraid that people will think they're not really putting the work in and they're using AI to generate.
It's another employee, Karen. It's another employee.
And so can we talk about that? Because as you all mentioned, AI is just game changing and it helps businesses. So how to really deal with that stigma and to encourage people how to use it properly and to make it your friend and your employee and not just something you shouldn't be using, as some people think.
So I would say this. If you are, let's talk about the calculator, right? When the calculator came out, people were using what abacuses and whatever. I don't even know how to say the word, right? I never even seen one. But they were doing math a long way. It took a long time to do. Calculator came on, and boom, boom, boom. You could start multiplying, adding, subtracting, dividing, doing it a lot faster, right? Computers came on the scene. Yeah, we could sit around and write on a piece of paper and then type it up on a typewriter like I used to do in the 1980s when I was in high school. And then when I made a mistake, I had to hit the correction tape. Yep. Go back, try to type it over. You can do that, or you can use Word, where you can just make it a whole lot faster, right? Excel, you can do data analysis and all sorts of stuff in there. This is just the next evolution of technology. And I understand that there's fear. I have the fear, right, of what it can do in the future. But it's here. Take advantage of it. Use it because it makes your life easier. You could drive to Birmingham, or you can walk or take a horse and buggy to Birmingham. Which one you going to do? You're going to use technology. You got to take the plane, train, automobile. I don't think any of us are going to get on a horse and go from DC to Birmingham, right? I don't think it's going to happen anymore. It's the same. It's technology making our lives easier. Look at it like that. And there's responsible AI. There's a lot of stuff out there on responsible AI. Get familiar with it. Make sure your team are trained in that as well. But use it to your advantage. It's here. Use it to your advantage. That's how I look at it.
Thank you.
And we do have some questions, y'all, that have come in. Yeah.
Yeah. Taliba, why don't you go ahead and read some out? Take over.
Okay. Okay. So we have Adrian saying, are they able to see the chat? Sorry. How do you build a business mindset? Especially as it pertains to debt. It took me years to get out of personal debt. I am in the position to fund my business to startup costs, but I quickly can see debt on the horizon. How do I change my mindset about the debt as a part of the business? I think that's a wonderful question.
That's a great question.
It really is a great question.
That's a great question. Does anybody want to take it, or I'll take it if anybody doesn't want to?
Go ahead, right?
Okay. It starts up here. Number one, it's fear, right? The first thing is fear, and some fear is real. But I always tell people that fear, FEAR, stands for false expectations accepted as reality. I understand what you're dealing with. can you take the risk without losing your life in the process, your financial life in the process, right? Some risks are worth it, but you may be able to have some other people join in to help cut the cost for you personally. You may be able to get them to buy into your dream and help support that way. And like Samantha said, some of us have taken out credit cards. I took money out of my house.
401ks.
401ks, right?
And
Honestly,
I'll say multimillionaires use other people's money. It is okay. I think, from the accountant's part of your boardroom, I would say have a strategy out of the money as you're going into it. Like, two things would be, of course, knowing how much you need, so that you know how much to ask for, and of course that's the numbers thing. But then when you get it, what are you going to use it for to be able to pay it back? So, again, I there is not a tax bracket that I'm not aware of that doesn't use other people's money. They just have a strategy to make sure that they're making it count. So that's what I would say.
And there's good debt and there's just bad debt.
Yeah.
And really sit down with your financial professional and think through and talk through what is good and what's just not going to make sense. It has to make sense and sense. CENTS and SENSE.
Yeah. And I would say that's right on, and have a business plan. Start there.
Of course.
Write a business plan out. That's going to help you think through all of the different curves and loopholes and all that stuff, and then have somebody review it and ask you questions.
And Dwight, if they don't have one, where can they start?
ChatGPT.
The $56.99 employee.
I know, right? We have another great question from Rachel Watson. It says, what is your advice for me? She's getting her doctorate in education. She's currently a student doing that. And her desire is to start a reading literacy center. Do you recommend that she do this as a 501c3 or as an LLC?
A reading literacy center.
I'm gonna say both. Can I say both? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And here's why. I would say do it all, because so from experience, TMB Tax and Financial Services is a C Corp. We're a corporation, but I also have Access Granted, which is a 501c3 that I leave there because when I want to pursue grants or other mission-based opportunities for capital, right now, that is 501c3 land. That is having a nonprofit. I would love for my B Corp being mission-based to be able to there be grants or other non-dilutive, meaning that you don't have to pay somebody back, other opportunities. But until then, I have my 501c3 for that. So, I'm not being facetious when I say that. Like, I honestly believe if you are going to be which literacy is a mission-based, business plan, then you may need to consider doing both at some point, just depending upon what your trajectory is on what you want to do.
And I'll add to that to consult an attorney so they can walk you through the particular steps and what you're trying to do. Because Talib is right, you can go either way or both ways, but 100% consult an attorney so they can keep you in the right path.
Well, this has been amazing, and I know we can continue to go on and on because there's just so much more we can share and learn from the folks who are asking these really, insightful questions that make us think, the questions that make you go, huh? And I know there are people who may have not been able to ask the question or maybe be a little bit shy. Our handles are shared in the resources. If any of us can be supportive, or if there's someone in our network that you're aware that we know, I'm very keen on understanding my mandate in this life. I'm a portal, and the connections I have, the network I have is not for me. It's not in service of me. So I want people to be able to use me. And I know my colleagues would say the same and echo the same sentiment. So if there's anything that we can do, folks, that we can share and connect you to, please don't feel shy or afraid to reach out and ask. And we look forward to hearing from you. And with that said, I will pass it back on to my amazing friend, Janae Dolphin.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to all of the speakers. I know that I will see you shortly, but I want to just say thank you, Samantha, for leading this amazing conversation. Thank you, Taliba, Dwight, Cami, and Joy. You know that each of you play a very special role, not only in my life, but in my career. And again, I knew that you would be the ones to do this is our first webinar for the EEIC, but you would be the ones to captivate an audience, share amazing wisdom, and really, to me, from a place of success. All of you are successful. All of you have been giving back to the community, and I'm so grateful for all of the things that you continue to do. Don't go far, but I'll see you in a second. So, everybody, these were our speakers. I hope you enjoyed. Everybody, go back to that slide, and everybody else can go behind stage. Here are their social handles. I think Taliba sent her handles through the chat, but we will also include that. If you registered, I know that we moved from Zoom to Facebook and YouTube because the energy was there and we knew that we would be able to even reach more people. We will be sending out the slide deck that has all of the information, really your last two slides, which are the recommendations and the speakers. If you did not register, please email us at EEIC@kingdom.global. That is EEIC@kingdom.global, and we can share that information with you as well. What's next? Well, what's next is we are going to have a small business cohort for emerging and early stage businesses. And so applications will open soon. Please stay connected to us. And then in September, we will hold our inaugural EEIC conference. You do not want to miss it. Oh, if you text EEIC to 240-201-330, then we will send you a link and you can upload your information and we'll make sure to send all of this out to you. And you'll stay connected to all of the things that we will do in the front, and we will not spam you, I promise. But thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for sharing your time. I know it's a weekday, it's Wednesday. They've got thousands of things happening. You're either running a business, working a 9-to-5, got children, got responsibilities, but you chose to spend this time with us. Thank you for working through the transition and through whatever technical difficulties you may have. But more importantly, thank you for gaining the information that's going to help you grow your business. And with that, I want to thank God for each of you being here with us and for imparting the wisdom and allowing us to share time and space. Thank you. And this concludes our program. Good night.